Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and people around the world are rising up against the insane tyrannical lockdowns that have oppressed millions, hundreds of millions, put millions out on the streets, put hundreds of millions of people in the poorhouse, made it impossible to get a leg up in this world after years and years of it being hard enough as it is. Now you have these tyrannical lockdowns under the guise of saving the world, but literally, obviously, doing the exact opposite. I'm going to be playing to you guys a video that is absolutely astonishing in a moment, so stay tuned for that. But first, I'm just going to go through some of these articles. As this Zero Hedge article says, clashes with police, cities empty out as Greece plunges into second lockdown. These are videos. This is footage that we see across the board everywhere right now. It's absolutely astonishing what's happening in this world. People are finally waking up. People are finally rising up, thank God. But you still have these establishment tools claiming that they're selfish and that they're somehow killing grandma. With all the facts that we have at this point, the fact that this narrative is even still continuing on is absolutely disgusting. But you see people rising up in Greece. You have articles like this: coronavirus, Germany braces for anti-lockdown protests, and of course they post things like this, 5G. That's what they all use in the mainstream media articles in order to, make people look stupid. They're really just trying to play on, flat Earth, 5G, that kind of stuff, and it's a straw man used against people who are legitimately saying we shouldn't have every basic freedom ripped away from us like cattle. As this article says out of BBC, COVID organizer of Stroud anti-lockdown protest fined £10,000 because it's okay to go out in the streets protesting for the government in some way or another, whether it be the divide and conquer method of doing these racial riots, that's fine, or perhaps celebrating Joe Biden's illegitimate win, then that's fine. Thousands of people, including Chuck Schumer, can go out in the streets. But if 15 to 20 people get together and say, I want to be able to put food on the table for my family, that is wrong, that is selfish, and this is the Orwellian doublespeak we're dealing with. But of course, a lot more than 10 to 15 people are coming out these days. As we've seen over the last several months, things have been really stepping up. As this article out of The Guardian said, Spain's prime minister calls for calm after violent anti-lockdown protests. This one says, latest coronavirus lockdown spark protests across Europe. And we're talking like everywhere in Europe. It's funny how there's a spark there and almost nothing left in the United States. This article says, anti-lockdown protesters turn on the police in Spain and Italy. And we see a lot of this from all over Europe. And again, it really is quite incredible that we have so many people rising up in Europe where, people have always called Europe, Europe's fallen and it's totally leftist now and everyone just loves government. Well, it doesn't seem that way. It seems like it's not very hard to push people into a revolution in Europe versus the United States, where everyone says, I'm a tough guy. They wear their sidearm and their cowboy hat, but at the same time, they're wearing a mask and they're begging the government to give them back freedoms that they took away, which does not work. It does not work that way. I want to play a video for you guys that's absolutely incredible that's come out of Spain from the anti-lockdown protests. So I'm going to play it right now. Now, if that isn't apocalyptic, I don't know what is. It's really it almost affects you emotionally to see something like that. This guy playing beautiful music as people throw flashbang grenades. Police are rounding people up and arresting them, demanding papers. People are wearing their masks to conceal their identity. Fires are started on the streets. You see explosions, and this man just slowly plays piano. What comes to mind is a Titanic going down, and people playing violin and cello on the Titanic as it sinks, which may have been debunked, but nonetheless, the idea remains the same. It's the idea that the Titanic is going down, and you have this complete insanity, and a lot of people just wanting to be calm and trying to be comfortable. And you see that comfort among a lot of the people that support this lockdown, because to them it's just like entertainment, it's a movie, but they want to be comfortable because in their social circles, if they say that this is wrong in any way, they get shunned. So they're shamed into following the collective. And that's the way it has always been. It's a popularity contest, and that's how they get you in there, is that they make it so obvious that following the government is of course the right thing to do, and if you say otherwise, then you end up being pushed out of your friend groups. And this is how they'll bring in the social credit programs and, you know, utilize Chinese style social credit to force everyone to get vaccines, because if you don't, you hate everyone, you're selfish, and you're gonna probably kill your kids, so maybe the government should take away your kids and all that kind of stuff. And that is a psychological game that they play, and it's disgusting, it's horrifying, and it's exactly what we're walking into right now. I want to bring up something that I have since back in the beginning. Around March, I first reported on this specific thing, though I've been calling out coronavirus since January and this insanity since January, while many others in independent media were saying that we should be scared and that I was going to get their grandmother killed. In fact, I had a ton of people unsubscribe to me back in January and February for calling this stuff out, saying that I was risking people's lives. Luckily, most of those people came around at this point, but in January, I was calling this. And in January, I was saying that this was a lab-created illness meant to spread on purpose via China, which is the biggest tourism exporting industry in the world. I've been in the middle of Africa, in the middle of nowhere, and a tourist bus literally so far away from anything. Like middle of the Sahara Desert, a tourist bus will show up with like 50 to 100 Chinese people taking pictures and everything when they're walking off the bus. I mean, it's just a way it is because there's so many people in China, and the tourism industry coming out of China is huge. So it was a perfect way to spread. And then it turned out that the illness wasn't what they hoped it would be, and it wasn't spreading as easily. So they smudged the facts. They were faking the numbers. They were propping up fake numbers in order to get people on their knees and support this stuff. And, you know, as cases go up but deaths go down, and cases, that's a whole other issue because it's such a stupid thing to call them cases. But as cases go up and deaths go down, people are still saying, okay, lock down more. The World Health Organization says maybe we shouldn't be locking down anymore, just to kind of cover both sides, like the Rothschilds backing both sides in a war. And then what happens? Everything gets locked down like within a week, and everyone forgets about that unless you're celebrating, like I said, Joe Biden's illegitimate victory. This post is from, or this website is from the National Institute for Allergies and Infectious Diseases, in which Dr. Anthony Fauci is the head of. Now, back between about 2015 and 2019, Dr. Fauci was getting millions of dollars in grants from the U.S. government to study coronavirus in bats in Wuhan, China, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, to study how, this coronavirus, this version of coronavirus that was 96% similar to the novel coronavirus. Very interesting. Well, what was the point of the study? So you see this article from the Times of India. It says the top U.S. health advisor, Dr. Fauci, backed controversial Wuhan lab for risky coronavirus research. The fact no one's talking about this is amazing. But there's a really important part of this. NIAID committed $3.7 million over 6 years for research on bat coronavirus in China, according to a report in Newsweek. The research also included gain-of-function work, which involves manipulating viruses in the lab to explore their potential for infecting humans. One of the major parts of the study was how to spread this version to humans, this manipulated version to humans. I mean, if in a court of law, this guy would be in jail, but we're supposed to respect him, believe everything he says, and if we don't, we're a bad person and we want to kill grandma. This is the Orwellian doublespeak we see today. These Antifa people that are fascists are anti-fascist. Forcing everyone at gunpoint to stay inside because of like 0.0001% of people might be negatively affected by this thing, is saying you want to go outside despite that is selfish, but pointing guns at people's heads and saying they have to stay inside is not selfish. It's like, it's totally doublespeak. It's exactly what Orwell warned of, and it's so much worse because it's global. It's a global Big Brother, Winston. It's a global Big Brother, and people have learned to love Big Brother, including many of the people that were a part of the conspiracy community before. And here we are with 28 million people facing homelessness in the U.S. when the moratoriums expire, about 9 out of 100, and before people say because the U.S. didn't do it right, In Canada, it's about 1 in 10 people, so it's actually more people facing homelessness in the US right now, or in Canada right now, than in the US. We have similar numbers all over the world. 81% of independent restaurants are facing insolvency, complete bankruptcy. And that's going to lead to all those people being unemployed, one of the biggest blocks of employment in the United States, in Britain, in Canada, in Germany, etc., unemployed. And what does that mean? They can't spend money. And what does that mean? Everything goes under unless it's a big conglomerate that's being propped up. And by the way, big pharma companies make hundreds of billions of dollars off this fear. I wonder who benefits. Cui bono? Well, and also, let's look at the fact that these big television stations that have completely gotten a monopoly on information over the last couple of years, they get billions of dollars themselves off of the big pharma institutions. The big pharma companies are the #1 contributor in monetization for these networks. So who are you going to believe? These guys on television that make billions of dollars off of saying that you should be in fear and benefit these pharmaceutical companies, and that you're crazy and selfish if you don't agree with them? Or the people in the independent media that have lost everything this year, have lost their ability to speak, their jobs, everything. They've been deplatformed off of almost everything. I've been deleted off of YouTube. I've been deleted off of Facebook. I don't benefit off of talking about this stuff. I'm doing it because I believe in spreading the truth. No matter what, no matter who tries to stand in my way, we are the last stand between tyranny and the complete destruction of what we know as humanity now, after obviously being pummeled for decades. The last stand, my friends. So are you. So what are you going to do about it? Disobey. Live freely. Live by example. You have no choice unless you want to die on your knees. The fear is a virus. The media is a virus. The state, the organized crime racket that you know as the government, is the virus. They're eugenicists. They're literally run by people who are technocrats running out of China, working with China though. Don't forget, Henry Kissinger met with Mao Zedong in China in the 1970s, early 1970s, against Nixon's wishes, leading into an artificial monopoly created in favor of China, which then led to the Trilateral Commission under Zbigniew Brzezinski, under Jimmy Carter. I've been studying this for years. His whole plan was to create a global technocracy, and look what we have here, my friends, a global technocracy growing day by day. We see that in Australia on full scale, New Zealand, we're seeing that in all over Europe, we're seeing that in the United States and Canada, and it won't end there. They've had leaks coming out for weeks now, showing that in Canada there were documents with the World Health Organization showing that there's going to be a secondary lockdown, which I've been really calling out since last March. People call me crazy because I said that before the first lockdown even happened. There have been these plans, these leaked documents where they talk about creating internment camps and the emergence of a COVID-21 or a COVID-23 or one of these things where it's a mutation of the initial virus, and they will use that to lock down things forever and slowly, incremental frog boil towards unbelievable tyranny, the likes of which you've never seen, because this lockdown wasn't enough. The masks weren't enough. The vaccines weren't enough. Well, what will be? In order to save humanity from a virus, from unhealth, you must kill off most of humanity? We know that's what the Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 at the United Nations was saying years ago. And then you have the World Health Organization and most of the United Nations basically run by the Chinese government, which, by the way, also runs most of Africa. So Tedros from Ethiopia was one of the heads of the Communist Party, getting huge amounts of support from China. And now he's at the World Health Organization, which refuses to investigate the Wuhan Institute of Virology and their investigation into Wuhan, China over the coronavirus, because they know what happened. They know what Event 201 is and what Bill Gates was involved in at Event 201 last year, and his competition for the contact tracing app, the patent back in 2019, as well as his tweets on Twitter saying that he's really looking forward to his vaccine portfolio in 2020. Winky face, laughy, smiley, laughing face. Like, great. Like, this is totally not sketchy at all. You've been pawned, my friends. And it comes down to you to do something about this. The IMF is bribing countries around the world to lock down. Belarus has come out about it. Tanzania has kicked the World Health Organization out. And people will just say, oh, they're crazy. And now they're causing civil unrest over there to destabilize these countries, to make them look like they're just crazy people, which, you know, maybe they are. I don't know what the deal is. Governments are governments everywhere, but there's an obvious attempt to destabilize these countries that aren't following the global order's playbook. I guarantee you the Sweden issue is a trap too. They'll come in with the second lockdown scenario and they'll be like, we're not locking down. And then they're going to show that there's some horrible thing that happened there. I guarantee you this is all a false flag. So they will stage more false flags in order to continue the false flag and continue the enslavement of humanity. And it's really sad. It's really sad to see how few people are doing anything about it, especially in the United States. But we do see the rise up of people that are sick of being impoverished and enslaved and put in bondage throughout Europe. I hope to see it continue. It is your responsibility to defend yourself. Freedom is responsibility. Angela Merkel will have you think that responsibility is collective. No. Responsibility is a basis of freedom itself, and responsibility is based on individuality. Collective responsibility isn't a responsibility to oneself, it's to a cult. Collective responsibility is better defined as slavery. Don't fall for it, my friends. Break free, live by example. Government is organized crime. Good ideas don't require force. Take that to the bank. Anyway, I appreciate everyone watching. Hit that like button. Hit the notification button on BitChute. We are on BitChute, LBRY/Odysee, as well as Flote.app. We've been deleted off of YouTube. Also join our newsletter at www.iamband.com. Takes 2 seconds. Just put in your email. We really appreciate it. Of course, you can get our merchandise off of Teespring, but we're completely viewer funded. So you can go to GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. Just $1 or more a month makes a huge difference, my friends. People have pulled their pledges since we were deleted from YouTube because they don't want to go from YouTube to BitChute or LBRY to watch our videos, which is very frustrating because we've lost money in support because we were deleted, just showing that despite the fact that we are willing to risk everything in our careers to continue doing this. I've given up everything. I'm living out of a backpack right now in order to bring you guys videos. It's unfortunate that so many people look at that and go, screw you guys. You're not on YouTube, so it's not easy anymore for me to go one link over and look at your videos. Very, very frustrating. This is the information war, and this is the fight for free humanity, and we need your help to continue. We also have Bitcoin. We'll show a Bitcoin address at the end of this video, as well as in the description of the video, as well as our CoinTree link, which shows a bunch of different cryptocurrencies you could donate in. We really appreciate anything you guys can do, my friends. And of course, you could become a client of Tim Picciot's The Liberty Advisor if you are looking for a certified financial planner that understands this insanity. Lots of options in the description of the video. I really appreciate it. Please share on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Flote, all those places. And until next time, check out this Bitcoin address coming up right away. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Hi, this is Tim Picciot, the Liberty Advisor. And if you're looking for a financial advisor who gets it, who knows what's going on, I'm here at Jekyll Island, Georgia. Right behind me is the Jekyll Island Club, which is where the plan for the Federal Reserve was hatched in 1910 and ultimately put into place December 23rd, 1913. Now, most advisors have no idea about the Federal Reserve. They have no idea, the insidious nature of it, and and more importantly, they don't know how to protect you and your family's money. And really, it's not even about your money. It's about your quality of life. It's about putting you on a path to be able to protect yourself for what's coming down the future. Now, if you don't know the past, you're not going to be able to know what's coming down the pipeline. They put all the clues out in front of us. It's very obvious what's coming. But for most advisors, I would say probably 99% of them, they have no idea what's going on. They're incentivized to not talk about this stuff. They're not allowed to talk about this stuff, and even if they would be allowed to talk about this stuff, they're not, because it's not great for business. Well, I'm a guy that's been putting myself out there for over a decade to try to help you and your family put you on a better path. So if you have an old 401k, an old IRA, you're about to retire, please check out thelibertyadvisor.com. You can see all the different ways that I am different from the average advisor who's out there, so that way we can help put you and your family on a much better path towards achieving all of your retirement goals. Thank you.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.